Om Lokaha Samastaha Suki Nobhavantu. May all beings be happy and peaceful. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Phoenix. Welcome to my channel. We're live. We're going to look at a lot of altcoins today, in addition to Bitcoin, Ethereum, of course, the king and queen. Before I get into the charts, I just want to mention briefly, I do have all of my courses available on my website, 𝐷eFiMagic.com, with a K at the end, and that includes the initial courses for the C3, which numbers 1 through 5, a lot of information in there, about 66 videos. And then there's a Small Cap Superstars report, which is very popular right now. This is actually really important, in my humble opinion, over the next 1 to 2 months, I would say, would be when you would want to be digesting this information. And some of these small caps have already run, and they are now mid caps, just to give you an idea. Trade size spreadsheet, also very helpful. I used it each and every day. So let's look at the charts. One thing that I was just noticing that is kind of curious. Let's see, actually, I need to scroll up and see if this chat is working here. We are live, right? Can anybody comment here? My chat is working. Somebody give me a comment so that I know that the chat is working. Come on, chat. I need my chat today. I really need my chat today. I'm wondering if it has to do with my browser or if there's any other YouTubers that have this problem. I'm going to shut the window because there's somebody hammering outside. Oh, this is a curiosity. It's kind of interesting to do a live stream and not have any feedback from the community. I'm basically going to have to intuit what I think you all want to see. One thing that I've been noticing the last couple of days, I've been paying close attention to this. It seems like every Friday, Saturday, there's a pump with Bitcoin. And you could see this was a Friday, this was a Saturday, this was a Friday, this was a Saturday. Of course, it was already moving up prior to that, but that's significant. And now we're on another Friday. And not just that, but we have had an extremely strong close with stocks. Okay, so bullish, basically. If we look at the S&P, we're breaking through on the ES. It's breaking through. It broke above 4,100, which is this key mid-level between the 2022 low and 2022 open. And it's back below now. It looks like S&P closed below, but it's still bullish, right? And I said it could come all the way up. Somewhere in between here was where I was expecting it to run to, up to 4170, maybe 4200. Who knows? Maybe if it gets to there, it can run all the way up to 4300. But I have my doubts because we have FOMC. I believe that's on Wednesday. Let me just check the calendar. See if I can. No, that's not what we want. Getting click happy here. Yep. What is this? How do I get to January to February? So that's on Wednesday. So FOMC is on Wednesday. So maybe we run up until then and then crash hard from there. But this is giving crypto an excuse to rally. And also the Dixie is remaining low. And it's consolidating here in this demand zone. So I mentioned today in the C3 that once the Dixie really breaks out of this channel here, then I would be looking to short all of the markets. For me personally, none of this is financial advice, but this is the level that I'm watching, 102.5, to see if it can break through with strength, get a daily close above, and then it's probably game over for a lot of all the markets, I would say. I mean, at least a pretty major pullback at the very minimum, if you want to believe the whole bull market thesis. So be paying close attention to that. But let's look at Bitcoin because it looked like Bitcoin tried to break out again today, but failed. And I was hopeful that this time it would happen because I had an ETH long. And I'll show you that setup as well. But you could see if you break it down, notice I'm looking on the lower time frames here, and I still have an alert set just in case it does run back up very quickly. I may be entering a trade here while I'm live. So you might get to witness that. Again, it's really strange doing these lives without being able to see my chat. I'm wondering if you all can see the chat. I might go back in later and check and just see what you all are saying. But I feel robbed by YouTube. So Bitcoin, it did break out above, but of course you have this sort of gray area now because it's already tried to break out from this first breakout attempt here. You call this a swing fail pattern, right? Got back inside, but there wasn't a follow through there. It kind of hovered in the upper part. And now it's sort of following the same pattern that we saw last week and the week before, if you remember correctly, where it's range bound, but it's more on the upper quadrant of the range. And so even though here it did initially sell off, I'm still not convinced that it's going to completely break down. Of course, we are headed into the weekend, but there was a lot of excitement in the stock market over the last several days. I mean, Tesla's up a lot, and Tesla's up 11% just today. Coinbase is up 15, almost 16% today. A lot of these stocks are Amazon's still way up. So that's going to be hard to fade. I'm not personally looking to fade crypto right now. There are some altcoins that are definitely overbought. AVAX is one of them, and I'm going to take a look at that in a moment here. But Bitcoin could break through this level. I think if it does come back up on the lower time frames and really break through with some strength, and we get a nice Maribozu candle without necessarily some wicks up here, if it makes another stab at this and breaks above 23,300, then that could be a long trigger. Not financial advice. Ethereum also, now in the case of Ethereum did sell off. I actually like Ethereum better. Let me bring up my levels here so you can see what I'm seeing. You see this diagonal here? It's kind of curious. It's almost like you can see the algorithms at work, because if I look on the daily chart, look at these wicks. I mean, look at that. It's like picture perfect. I mean, how often do you get that? If it breaks above this diagonal here, that's 1615 on the lower time frames. That's what I'm looking for as sort of a long trigger, because it's already broken above this range here, which is easier to see on the 4H. It's already broken above, broke above, broke down, broke above. It's kind of meandering along here. And I was thinking, well, it successfully retested after a pretty strong break above, but then came back down again. But now it's still pushing back up. So this would add confluence. This break in this diagonal would add confluence to the long scenario for Ethereum. And in that case, I like trading down at the lower boundaries of the ranges as opposed to the upper boundaries, as is the case with Bitcoin, because there's just more upside potential. And so that's why I like Ethereum. And also we can look at the ETH BTC chart in a moment here. But so if Ethereum comes above here and consolidates above here, the 1615 or so, then I would say a strong probability it gets back above the weekly open, and then we head back up to 1675, and then I'd actually be looking to take it higher. So I'd be looking to take this at minimum to 1720, 1722. That was my second take profit level, and then looking up higher at around 1785. Okay, and then from there I'd have to reevaluate, maybe let some run if it keeps going. But yeah, it looks like Ethereum wants to break out as well. It's just it was held back temporarily, but that may not. It may just be an attempt to fake out the shorts here, because it looks like it's still strong. And I'm having a hard time believing that crypto is going to sell off right now with stocks so strong headed into the weekend. So I hope that's helpful. I can cover short scenarios for these because it's always helpful. I mean, obviously, if Ethereum fails to break out here and it breaks back below the 1600, this is the same setup as the other day, then in that case, then I'd be looking to short it back down, maybe here or here. I mean, that would be a potential short setup, but I'm not really interested in shorting right now, as I just mentioned. Bitcoin is in an even tighter range than Ethereum, and we'll bring up the levels here. So Bitcoin, if it rejects here, but you see this lower wick, this is also a sign, like if it was just unidirectional and it'd be better if this was chopped off here on this 4H, and on the 1H you see here, there was a strong sell-off, but also now you can see the counter push here. So it seems like there's still, the bulls still are in control. That's what it looks like to me. But short scenario would be comes up, fails, holds here, and then starts to break down again. There's your trigger down to maybe the weekly open, and then maybe down to 22,450 or so. So less likely in my humble opinion, but could happen. We could stagnate for the whole weekend. It's just that if we look at the pattern for the last couple of weeks, then it would make sense. So if we look at Avalanche now, this is just going bonkers. I had a short on this yesterday, and it kind of round tripped on me, but I still got some profit out of it. It's just been it's been really strong. And now it's breaking above this level here, which should be a strong resistance level for Avalanche. I wonder if there's what does this do? What does this button do? No, it just scrolls down. I'm just going to play with my chat settings for a minute here. Some messages, such as potential spam, may not be visible. Oh, hey, how did that happen? Okay, I click something and now it's here. Okay, I can see it now. Hi, Adam and Kevin and Maduro, Maduro's advisor. Yeah, so that's interesting. I just clicked a bunch of buttons on this and it worked. Live chat. Oh, you buggers. That's what it is. So by default, I think it's a top chat. I don't know why they do that. Okay, so I can see you guys now. So go ahead, feel free to ask questions. Give me some feedback. How are you all feeling? I'm feeling better. I did that NAD IV, the NAD plus, and it's something that you should maybe look into. Of course, not health advice, but I mean, it did help me. I feel stronger. I feel I feel a lot better. I've been doing some other stuff too. So I'm going to take a drink of my juice here and process what's going on with Avalanche right now. Sky's the limit, apparently. I don't know. Was there something that happened? Was there something that happened with Avalanche? I don't know why it's pumping like this right now. I wouldn't long it here, that's for sure. And I wouldn't necessarily fade it either. Ethereum's coming back now, so I might be entering into that. I might get back in that long. So I was in a long for Ethereum at 1600-ish, and I got out of it because it was starting to really dump fast, and I didn't want to risk it, especially with the rejection of this trend here. But so what I'm looking for now, again, as additional confluence, we've broken above here and we've retested it, and now I'm looking on the 1H here, and we've retested it twice now. Okay, so now if we get a strong candle above here, then that's going to be a strong sign that there's probably more upside for Ethereum. But then if you want an even more conservative entry here, would be on the lower time frames, looking for maybe a pattern to develop, maybe a strong break above this diagonal here. Okay, and then that would be, for me, I'd feel much more confident taking a long here than with Bitcoin. Not that I don't think Bitcoin can run up. I think Bitcoin can easily run up today. It could happen over the weekend, because I think if it's going to happen over the next 3 to 4 days, right? Because we're headed into the FOMC. So I think it's going to probably run up to 24,300 and maybe get back into this range here between 24,300 and 25,300. and then it might form a similar pattern to what we see here, but that could be a distribution pattern, and I won't know that until we see it. But that's just my, if I had to take a gander at this based on the strength of the market. And so I am looking to take a long on Ethereum because I do think that there's more upside potential. As we know, when Ethereum does run, it runs a lot harder than Bitcoin. So if we look at Ethereum on the ETH BTC, it's pretty much at the mid. It's pretty much at the mid of this larger range. And I think it's getting ready to push back up again. That's just, of course, I don't have confirmation of that, but that's what happened here. It's found support here on multiple occasions, right? So this looks like a little bit of a range here, doesn't it? And it's closer to the bottom of this range, so it's probably going to push up. And if that happens, then we know that as long as Bitcoin is still holding, that that Ethereum will be very strong. So let's keep an eye on that. I may need to pause at some point if this alert goes off, or if I see things shift, just to take the trade. It's good that I get to cover this on the live stream, actually, because this is not something you get very often with other traders. So it's nice when there's some timing around it. I don't normally take trades during live streams. So some of the other alts like Solana have already, it looks like they're kind of still just kind of holding their ground, but not really breaking out. You see all these wicks here. Does Solana have more upside? Yeah, definitely. Again, this $28 level would be a main target for me if I was looking to long Solana, which I'm not. But as I mentioned, the only place I'd really be willing to long this would be down here, which is around 21.81. I'm not sure that it will go back there. I don't like to take breakouts after, when I don't see a lot of upside potential into the supply zone, and it looks like there's already been attempts here. So that creates a lot of fuzziness, if that makes sense. So I'm not looking to long this. In AVAX, I'm not looking to long it. I'm just watching. I'm sitting back and watching and waiting. No FOMO whatsoever. I can wait days or weeks to take a trade. I don't mind. If AVAX wants to run up even higher, maybe it goes to 2060, maybe it goes all the way up to this level here, this 2188. That's fine, no big deal. And this is actually the mid between this much larger range here, right? Between 1525 and 2845. So it could run all the way up to $22. Actually looks like a pretty juicy target for AVAX. So I'm not looking to fade this. I'm also not looking to long. It's just because we've already seen such strength in this. And I want to see what Ethereum and Bitcoin can do. It's too rich for my blood right now. Link is doing what I thought it would do. It is pushing up, and now we've hit the mid at this between 775 and 725. So we covered this in the last live stream, but it gave a trigger, but it's not so clear, right? Because again, this was sort of created a gray area here. But then if you notice this one single candle on the hourly, actually that's a 4H candle. If you notice this candle, this is almost a Marubozu right here. Almost a Marubozu break above here after these wicks, after this rejection. So ETH could do something like this, where it rejects like that, but then we see a nice strong Marubozu candle, and that gives a long trigger. So yeah, I would, well, actually, yeah, it was a little bit tricky to decipher this because okay, so if we drop down and we notice on the lower time frame, you see here's another Marubozu on the 1H after 1-2 attempts. On the third attempt, it really broke above and didn't give that. When I see a wick like this, I don't like it. When I see a wick, I'm more likely to just pull out of the trade if I'm already long, because it's most likely going to sell off. But in this case, it pulled back for sure, but not so much to invalidate the long thesis, because you see, and this is pretty typical when you see altcoins that are getting ready to break out, like they'll break down, but they won't come down. They'll start to stair step. So they'll start to go higher and higher, even on the lower time frames. And sometimes you'll spot that like on a 10-minute or a 5-minute time frame if you're looking for a very precise entry, before you see it on the higher time frames, such as the 1H or the 4H. So I'm not sure if that's making sense. News with Amazon. Yeah, well, that was with AVAX. What is Amazon saying today about AVAX? Let's see. Kind of interesting that they chose AVAX. Okay, that was the 16th. That was the 11th. Oh, that's what it is. NFTs. Amazon NFTs. So they're anticipating that they're going to be using AVAX for that, because there's some presumption there. Fascinating. Okay, so when you see that, this is a good example. Whenever I see a pump and it looks a little bit unusual, like, everything's sort of pumping right now, but AVAX is much stronger. In that, the first thing that you should do, not financial advice, but the first thing that I do is I look to see, is there anything newsworthy? This is important. So this is something that, where from a trader's perspective, you have to consider sometimes the fundamental elements that are thrown in the mix. And I've made this mistake before where I see something and it's outrageously overbought, and then I go to short it because technically speaking, it should come down. But then I realized that no, there was actually a major partnership and I should not have done that. because you can, at that point, you can throw reason out the window. So now every time I get in the habit of just scanning to see what is there in the news recently, in the last couple of hours maybe, that would spawn a sort of a big spike up. Because if in this case, this is absolutely a signal for me, do not fade AVAX, because AVAX could keep going, because more and more people are going to find out about this in the coming hours. If you were early to it and you just saw the announcement as soon as it came out, good on you. It's a good time to enter a long position in a bullish market, I don't want to say it's a bullish market, but in a bullish environment, right? Temporarily, at least. So this was and it broke above this mid level here with some strength on the 1H, and it did not reject. It did not break down. Okay. It showed some strength. Okay. And so that was the breakout trigger there. And now it's potentially going to keep going because it's recapturing this broader range here. It's above it. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it could easily run all the way up. Who knows? It could run all the way up to 22 today. It might do that, as we've seen with Aptos and Optimism and some of the other alts that have really run tremendously. There's no reason. I mean, AVAX does have a larger market cap, so it's harder to push up, but that's just an example for you all. So I want to get to some of the other alts Optimism looks like it's starting to consolidate here. We're in price discovery. There's no real way to know how high this can go, and it is a lower market cap, and so it could really continue. I'm not ready to, I would not fade this here. A lot of these alts, I'm going to say the same thing, because I want to see when I get the signal again. That's why I mentioned earlier in the stream, wait for the dollar to come back up and to break its pattern. Once that happens, then alts are probably going to get destroyed. And they may not come down as far as they were before, but they're definitely going to come down. And so people are taking advantage, taking opportunity now while they can. But watching the ES, watching the S&P 500, I use the ES, watching this for signs that it wants to top out. Just treat this like a broader range, like forget bear, forget bull, like it's just a range. That's all it is. And so we're at the mid of this range. That's it. And if you want to look at a tighter range, you could look at something like this, right? So maybe it pushes to the top and we get to the extreme. At this level, then I'm looking for a reversal, because unless there's some sign that's really there's enough real strong momentum to push it higher. But my hunch is that FOMC, Mr. Powell is going to say, hey guys, reality check. We're not done yet. Basically, he'll say a couple words and everybody will freak out. I don't know why this one man has so much power, but that's just the way it is. And then at that point, everything goes back to 𝐬𝐧. It's like, okay, so we'll see. So 𝐼𝐸 is also acting pretty outrageous right now, as expected. I said, it could deviate above and spike all the way back up again. It's looking like it wants to do it. But would I trade this? No, this is not this is what I said the other day with 𝐼𝐸. When this happened, I stopped trading 𝐼𝐸 after this here, because I like these nice clean ranges. Because I can use that. I can work with the information that's given to me, but I can't do that here. There's nothing that I can work with. This is a gamble. I'm not really sure what it's going to do. Maybe it spikes and it just crashes all the way back down, gets back inside. Okay, well, there's your short trigger, right? Maybe, but it still probably might do that a few times. Look, it did it here. And so it just kind of bounces like that. And if it does that, maybe up here, if it calms down and we see it do this for a couple days or, a week or so, then we've got something to work with. But there's nothing here that, no, it's not trade worthy to me. Okay, so we looked at optimism. Optimism, I just want to wait and see. But if optimism does break out, if it does come back up here and we get some strength here, like I said, there's no telling how much higher this could go. That would be a long trigger. Not looking to fade this here. Unless, yeah, I wouldn't fade this here. Now, Aptos has just pretty much been still. It's definitely strong. It's definitely, I mean, you could say there's a bullish rectangle, continuation sign. Also, basically in price discovery. You could be playing with this tighter range here. I don't like these little ranges. It's not really fun to trade. There's not enough of an RR for me to work with this. But again, so there's two scenarios, right? There's this one here. It's pretty obvious, short, right? Down to here, down to this zone here, around 1610, and then maybe get it heading back down to here, 1430. And then there's the long scenario, which is above here, and the breakout. But I don't know. I mean, how much higher can this go? 445%. 445%. I don't know how much higher it can go. I mean, it's like 28 by market cap right now, so I wouldn't long this, even though I do think there's more upside for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you have to think about how much more upside is there. Like I've shown with Bitcoin, I mean, relatively speaking, what has it done so far and how much further does it have to go? Let's measure it. Where it is right now, it could go anywhere from 5 to 10%, basically. It might spike up above here. Could go from 5 to 10% before we see probably a more dramatic pullback, okay? Where it's already gone from here, it's already increased. That's 49. Excuse me, it's 49%. So there's not a lot of room left for it to go up, in my humble opinion. Now, there's always a chance that it could just break through 25K and just keep going forever, but I just don't. That's a very slim possibility in my book. So like I said, on Wednesday, we're looking to play at the extremes, and we're not quite at the extreme yet. Now, along here for me, it would be not as large as I might take a short if it was on the way down somewhere up here, because that would be more of a positional play. This is more of a swing slash scalp, depending on how quickly the price moves. So not sure if that makes sense, but that's just how it works in my mind. XRP. Yeah, glad you made it, Mike. Thoughts on Hathor? What is Hathor? I've never heard of Hathor. Let me do XRP first, and then I'll take a look at Hathor. I like the Hathors. It's a pretty cool name. XRP it's been kind of sitting still today. It's been kind of an exciting week for alts, definitely. This is probably the most excitement we've had in over a year, right? I mean, it's from as far as I can remember. This level is pretty significant here because it's the mid between this quarterly level and this monthly level here, and it's just below it. So I think if XRP can break above here and hold, then it's probably going much higher. But you have to watch out for this here. Might conservatively might wait for it to clear up here, but then targeting minimum target would be 447. And then you're back in this range here, and we're looking for probably somewhere up here. I'd be targeting up 0.475, 0.476, and then probably all the way up just before this monthly level, maybe somewhere over here. Possible. It's possible, but it's been, I'm sorry, I'm like losing my voice. Midstream, I'm losing my voice. How ironic is that? It's possible, but it's been pretty choppy. And it's been kind of like, I don't really like the way XRP looks from a long perspective. But I wouldn't doubt that it could come back inside this range and show some continued strength in the coming days. So Hathor was a request here. Let's take a look. What's the ticker for that? Hathor. Oh boy. Okay. Let me look at this on the monthly first. So where are we in the grand scheme of things here? Wicked up to this monthly level. Just give me a moment here while I get this straightened out. There's a weekly level. There's another weekly level. I'm just going to color code these. And what's my monthly look like? It's that one there. So where are we in all of this? We're close to we're basically at the extreme, right? And that's a pretty strong rejection today. Wow, it's been pretty strong, right? I mean, this really strong. But you see the wicks, and you see there's been a lot of movement in both directions. I'm guessing it's a much lower market cap than what we're used to looking at here. And then we see on the 4H, there's even more information that we can work with here. So this is like a range that we're working with on the 4H here. And I don't usually do this for altcoins I've never heard about, but hey, why not? It's good to put the skills to the test here. So I would want to see, it already did strongly break above. It might consolidate here. There's definitely some, definitely going to be some resistance, basically where it just wicked off of. I wouldn't fade this because it hasn't really shown any weakness yet. The market structure is very much intact. So, but I wouldn't long it either because, well, it's up 7% today. I mean, I think if it can break above, let me turn this magnet off. If it can break back above here, most likely we get some consolidation in here. Not like that, but you know what I mean. And then it can break above here. And then we see some stability. We see some consolidation. Like, I don't like to trade charts that are just like this. It needs to settle like it did here. And then you get a pattern to work with and it breaks out. Like, if we look at this, let's just look at this on the lower time frames and see if we can find the candle that really led to the breakout. I'm going to turn the log mode off here. So it was actually in here. Yeah, you see that 10-minute candle there? Sometimes you catch these, sometimes you don't. Now, if we drop down to the 5-minute, I don't know if I can get back to it now. Yeah, okay, so it's right here. Notice that it hadn't broken out here, but it was kind of consolidating. It wasn't really sure. You weren't really sure. But see, if you'd have dropped down, whereas the 10-minute would have taken you all the way up here, the 5-minute, you could have seen the breakout here. See, this is the Marubozu that I'm talking about. So this Marubozu was indicating a breakout above this consolidation phase, this consolidation range that had been going on for many days. This area here, okay? And that was the long trigger for this whole rest of the move, which if you'd have caught it there, then you would have been sitting pretty good because it basically went up another 92% from there. So that's why I like to work with patterns. So here's another here's another range on the 5-minute that this is why I use these lower time frames, because once I've established what I'm working with, it'll give you those hints. Like, it'll happen really quickly sometimes. Like right here, this was a massive breakout and it did actually come back below. I feel like I need to sneeze. Excuse me for a minute. Yeah, Cody. Okay, we'll see. We'll take a look. It's like I need to sneeze. Awkward. Yeah, it's like you need to sneeze, but you don't. So this breakout, here was the breakout, and then here was a retest. Let's see. See, that was a 6%, a 5% drop back down again. And then it did break out, kind of chopped around for a while. But looser stops on this, definitely a good idea because you've got these long wicks, right? And like, generally speaking, again, like look at this one here. What the hell was that? You know, generally speaking, you're going to get more of these on these illiquid altcoins. So let me look at Cody. Take a look. Okay, back to the... Why is this gapping? Like, since when does crypto gap? Blow my nose here. Hold on a second. It's raining like cats and dogs out today, which is actually really good for the island. We've been getting a lot of rain this year, which is really nice. So much for climate change. So much for global warming. So Cody, what are you doing, my friend? I have no idea. This looks like a snake or a dragon or something. What is this? It's doing something. Here's your range. It just wicked to the top of it. And now we got 2 hours to the close. If it closes anywhere over here, this is a tower top. I'd be probably looking to short this down, to be honest. At least some sort of a scalp short, because usually when you see this tower top, clear blue sky here, just shot straight up, 2 rejection wicks here, green then a red, most likely going to come down. I wouldn't long it, that's for sure. But it's just, again, it's too rich for my blood. I'm not really willing to, I don't really play games with these anymore, because it just they can stop you out pretty easily. And like if you take a trade here, let's just say that I took a short position here, that's a 15% stop loss. I mean, are you kidding me? I try and get away with like a 1 to 2 or maybe 3% stop on a lot of my trades. A majority of my trades, I would say, average 2 to 2.5%. So when I have to take a stop loss that's 12 to 15%, I mean, of course it could move down that much, but like to get to a 1R, then you're looking at somewhere down here, back beneath the mid, and just not really worth it to me. Unless I saw that the rest of the market was really wanting to head back lower, like a lot lower. In that case, I would probably short it with size, with a looser stop, and then probably be targeting down here. So that's just my perspective on it. I could be wrong. I've never really even looked at this chart before. I think I was actually, I think I was trading it at one point, but that was in the bull run, so it's been a while. Yeah, this is Beefy Finance. They gave me their shirt at one of their conventions, one of the crypto conventions. And I'm not like, I don't eat meat, so it's kind of funny, but it is what it is. So what else you guys got? Let's look at sand and see what that's doing. I had a short on this yesterday too, that kind of round trip I had, which I didn't lose money on it because I got out. It's always good to, I had a feeling to put my stops back to break even. I made a little bit of money off it, but not much because it didn't really give time for a big pullback. But it is actually pulling back into this range like a fourth time now. And this is looking a lot like Head and Shoulders, which I use patterns less and less these days, but I don't know. I mean, it could very easily break down. This isn't worth it to me though. I've already tried this. I tried it here and it kind of did and then didn't. And it's like, I don't like, this is not clear to me. This is why I like to trade at the extremes. But I think I would probably be more apt to short this than to take a long here because your upside is more limited. It's up here, this 77, 78. And sand already did have a pretty strong run. And when this looks like a distribution pattern, doesn't it? I mean, it looks like a pretty classic Head and Shoulders. Now, if I, and I'm just looking on the 1H, if I look at this on the 4H or the daily, you'll see it even clearer. You see that? And there's the daily. Look at these wicks. And I don't know. I mean, if it pushes back up, maybe to here again, I would think that would probably be close to the end for this rally for sand. So we did Maddox, we did XRP. We haven't looked at Atom. We've looked at Link, AVAX, Solana. I didn't look at Litecoin. let's look at Litecoin first. And Litecoin has, so it's nice to draw these as confluence sometimes. This, I don't I don't usually use these by themselves to enter and exit positions. The diagonals, I use them to sort of confirm the existing trend. And so the existing trend is clearly up, and Litecoin, but Litecoin has also been consolidating mostly in this area. And so we're waiting to see if it can break above and actually hold above this time. But you can see this was actually a level here that if we go back on the chart, sort of the beginning of this supply zone. And I had targets. Targets for Litecoin was the first one was hit. It was 93, and then we've got 99, about 100, and then 106. And like I said, with Litecoin, there's no telling when it's going to really pump. But it's also been a little bit more erratic, kind of like XRP, and it's definitely indecisive here. So not really a place to trade it. But let's just say at this point, at this stage in the game, I would say I would be waiting for it to get back above 93. And then I would want to see. I need a clean break above all this mess. So, and that could be applied to many of the altcoins. Clean break above the mess. Pretty simple, right? What was the other one that I didn't? Atom. I haven't looked at Atom yet. Atom is the same story. So clean break above the mess. And that's, but what are we targeting? I mean, if you take a look over here, probably somewhere in the middle of this zone here, right? Which is like 1430. And this is where you got to, again, you've got to question, like, how much more upside is there for Atom in this rally? So this 1430 would be one area, and then somewhere up here before this peak here, maybe 1550, which that could, that's still a significant ways to maybe move. But I'm just going to look at this on the weekly for a minute. Yeah, that makes sense. If it holds from here. So that's a lot of alts. Are there any others that Rune I know was breaking out today? Illuvium's doing pretty well. That's good. Getting ready for like a massive unlock of my Illuvium. It's been 2 years. And I remember when it was $1,800 and now it's 64. It might go back up. Who knows? We'll see. Phantom. Let's look at Phantom for a moment. What is Phantom doing now? It's like pretty much broken through all of the zones that I had labeled here. Wow, Phantom. Good job. Yeah, there's no way I would long this. There's no way I would long this. This is it's like literally, it just deviated above this range, right? So what are the chances it's going to continue north? I don't know. Is there any Phantom news out there that caused all of this? It just seems like all the L1s are just going off right now. I would wait to see if it gets back inside here. And then probably a break below here. And then an underside retest. And I'd be probably looking to short it down. But also you could say the same, like an aggressive trader would probably be looking to get in somewhere over here if it started to really break down, like similar to this sort of pattern that we saw with these wicks here, but it's still too early in this game for a phantom. And we drop down here. Yeah, so if it really broke down beneath this level, maybe short it down to here if you want to do a quick scalp, but then looking for a larger setup somewhere down here when it breaks down from this area here. But I'd be waiting on that personally. I haven't looked at GMX in a while. Oh, that's why. Yeah, it's not really conducive to trading. Phantom event in Miami. Well, that's cool. Probably some cool people over there. I wonder what the event is and where it is in Miami. Rune did break out, and now it's retesting, but not quite. But Rune wants to push higher, it looks. See that on the daily? But how much more upside is there realistically? And you've got some resistance here, right? Around $2. I would say strong resistance for Rune at $2, and that goes back here as well as previous support, flipped into resistance. Probably, you know, so it's not really much more upside potential, but we're getting closer to the extremes again. I think it's suicide to long a lot of these right now. We're getting close to the extremes. Just like you wouldn't want to short Rune when it's down here. After some consolidation, after a big move down, this would be suicide to short, even though most traders are thinking, well, it's already been going down for so long. Well, that's precisely why you don't short it. If we invert this chart, you see what I mean? Would you want to long or short this? I mean, yeah. Context is also important, right? But that's, yeah. So ADA did recapture this range here above 38. ADA's been pretty slow and steady. So I don't see why it can't break back up here, get to the mid, maybe around 40.405, and then come up somewhere around in the 40s, between 40 and 43.3 before some really heavy resistance. But it does appear to be wanting to recapture this range. Now, initially some wicks here, but a single strong candle break above here, and ADA's most likely going to continue. This looks like a consolidation, bullish sort of rectangle here. If you just get rid of this, ADA looks strong. ADA looks good. I haven't looked at BNB in a good while, and I mentioned BNB. Oh yeah, I did actually. I mentioned that it could very easily come up here, deviate back above this, and this is also, BNB is a pretty clean chart if you look, you know, at the bigger picture here. This broader range, these weekly levels between 337 and 207, and it's getting closer to the top. Now it's consolidating again, and it looks like it wants to break out eventually. The question is when, but it looks like it wants to break out and then probably will shoot up above this, get another deviation, and then we'll have to revisit it and see. If we start to see a similar pattern to here, then it's an obvious short. But sometimes the most obvious move is the one you don't want to do because that's what everybody else is looking for too. And notice what happened here with BNB. This was on Binance. Look at this wick. Stopped out all the shorts in one single, probably happened in an hour or less, and then just drove it drove it down again. Yeah, it happened in a couple hours. Or just 1 hour, actually. Just this 1 hour push, and then so it stopped out the shorts and then actually brought it down. That's one of the most frustrating things when that happens. And you don't see it as much with the higher market cap coins as you do with the lower market caps like Rune. And Lido is still strong. Lido looks like Lido's also in price discovery, right? And it's consolidating above. This is actually a range high here. And so it's starting to get back above again. I would not long this. If it was a bull market, I'd be using probably an EMA strategy or a pin bar strategy to enter longs. But in a bear market, I don't long tokens that are in price discovery, because you just don't know how far it's going to push before the rest of the market really tanks. So I think that's it for today. I've just covered a lot of charts, and it looks like Bitcoin is actually not going to break out. I was kind of hopeful that it would. We're back inside the range, folks. Kind of strange considering, it just goes to show you that the stock market, the Dixie, they're not always going to correlate 100% with cryptocurrency. And sometimes I have taken trades in the past just off of what I've seen in stocks, and now turned out to be a mistake. So that's more of like a confirmation, a sign of confluence, just like the diagonal trend lines. So the best thing here is to be patient. That's why I got out of the trade as soon as I saw this wick here. I got out of my ETH trade and I took a scratch, but it's, we'll see. Maybe it still holds above, but you know the plan. I've set the plans here for Ethereum, and this would probably be the only trade that I would be taking. And I would just size up on it and just ignore everything else. And I don't really care if I miss some more crazy alt moves over the weekend. But you have all the setups. The setups are there, so they could continue. Let's see what AVAX is doing here. Still above. I mean, it's still going. Like I said, these can be irrational for a long time after a big news announcement like that. Okay, well, I'll look at maybe one more. Okay, Engine or 𝐬𝐨𝐬𝐧. Let's see. What is 𝐬𝐨𝐬𝐧? It's chilling. It's not really doing much. What are you doing, buddy? Let's see. Where are we at? It's just wicked above here. I don't know if you want to call that a range. I mean, I guess you could, right? I don't know, man. I mean, this is going to be, it's showing pretty strong resistance here. I don't know that I would long this here. It overall looks kind of, maybe it makes another stab back at this 0.147. But I don't have high hopes for this coin. I don't really know anything about it. I just by looking at the chart, it just looks like it's probably going to die at some point. So if it were me, and I don't know anybody's situation who's asking about this, but if it were me and I actually held this and I was hoping for it to come back at some point, well, I would probably just let go of that idea. It might come back and do something like it did here. And a lot of people just pray that will happen, where it does do another spiky, crazy move like that. And then, but that's your best case scenario, right? And you've got to wait it out in the meantime. But for me personally, like if I own this, what I would do is I would wait to see when Bitcoin really tops out and it shows weakness, and maybe I'm giving signals that it's headed south, and then I would sell the altcoins that just are no good. And then I would look to reaccumulate back when Bitcoin bottoms, or gets back down at least to the lower part of the extreme end of the range. And then I would be looking to accumulate alts like where you've seen actual strength, like Aptos and Optimism and some of the other alts. If I was looking to get into alts that are more like on the risk end of the spectrum, and that would be kind of the sensible thing for me. That's how I like rebalance my portfolio. If I'm in altcoins that I don't want to be in, I won't just sell them when they hit bottom. But this is also like, and I'm not saying I don't know anything really about this project. I don't know enough about it to say whether it's going to be successful or not. All I know is just by looking at probabilities. So it's up 42%, but just the probabilities based on what we see here on the chart is that it ain't going to come back. And if it does, it's going to be an oscillator. And we've seen oscillators like this, like, there's entire cult communities that form around these because they form when the price was doing this, right? And then they just kind of, those that stuck it through. And then every time it brought out the hope, and it gradually kind of wears people out. But this is not a, if you read in Smart Money's Crypto Handbook, which is my book, this is not showing sustainability and longevity. It's a sign of an oscillator. It's a sign of instability. It's like the crackhead on the corner, basically. if that makes sense. You don't want to associate with the crackhead on the corner. You want, you want to, if you're going to date someone, let's just say it's a woman. If you're going to date a woman, she's got to be, pretty sensible. She's got to have a good head on her shoulders. She's not running around doing this and that. She's, she's loyal. She's consistent. Now, what would be an example of that? Matic, right? Like pretty loyal, pretty consistent, like pretty resilient. Even though, yeah, we still have these broad sweeping movements. Well, what is the general trend for Matic? It's up, right? The general trend is up. What is the general trend for Chiliz? It is down, right? Down. So that's one way to look at it. Hey, Tombstone. All is not game over. All is not as it looks. Bull, bear, stalemate, disbelief to hope, period. I'm not sure what the question is. Where are we at? Could be disbelief. I would be in the disbelief category because I'm just not buying it because it's too early. And also when my friends reach out to me and they're like, what do you think about this chart and this? And I'm like, this is not a lot of the charts floating around right now. It's just, they're just showing a very limited amount of information comparing, and I've spent dedicated videos comparing the bear and bull markets of several, not just the last one, but the last several. And I don't know everything there is to know about it all. And there's no way to know for sure, but I just know this would be completely unlike every other bear market if it just broke out like this. We're not getting the rest period. Like that would just be, okay, if you're following the hope cycle, the psychology cycles, and you should also be following like, the market cycles and how they work, because they coincide with that. And the market cycle, we have the drawdown, the massive drawdown, markdown, right? This is a phase in the market. And then we have accumulation, which you could say that accumulation started in earnest at this point here back in June. And But is it going to end a few months later? I mean, maybe, but usually it goes much longer than that, right? Maybe it does. Now, where would I be wrong? Where would I be revisiting my thesis that I think we're headed back down again at least once more, but I think it's probably going to chop around here for several months. But I'm wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm wrong if this rally just continues and it continues and it breaks above and it starts to hold above 25 and then it starts to break out to the upside. In that case, then I'd have to completely reevaluate everything. And I would say basically Wyckoff's out. Wyckoff theory is out the window. We basically skip the accumulation. That's where I'm wrong. And that's where people saying, well, this is the disbelief stage. If this was disbelief, then this is what would happen. This is what would come next. I don't think we've gotten to full despair yet, honestly. Even though it seems that way, I think another move down would create that. So what I'm hoping to see here is just another push down, not because I didn't get in. I actually did get in 16,800. I was buying Bitcoin, but because that's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to come down, and it may come down. What I want to see happen is it actually come down a little bit lower and then get back inside, because that for me would be a sign of a spring. And that would be where I'd be telling everybody, look, just buy and go to the beach here. This is the buy and go to the beach signal. And then you don't even need to watch my channel anymore. At that point, you buy here and I'm not saying I'd hold forever, but I'm saying like you're pretty set at that if that happens. If we see that like on a daily chart, not like on an hourly chart or anything like that, but if it really does that and it does what we saw here, but it goes a little lower and then gets back inside this range here and starts to push back up again, then I'd say, okay, it's full on accumulation. This whole phase here is accumulation. This is the bottom. The bottom's in, and now's the time to be stacking in earnest. So I'm like fully preparing you all for this, like with all of my streams, and it's great. It's actually, I don't mind. I prefer there's only like 500 people watching this, because if everybody was watching it, then they'd all know all my moves, and I'll probably be a lot more mysterious when things really do turn around about but this is why I'm telling you, you got to trust me on certain things. If you've been watching me for this long, it's like you got to trust that when I tell you like now's the time to be researching the small cap superstars, now's the time, because this push might happen over the next couple of weeks. This breakdown again, it might happen over, just like we saw here, this happened over a month, another month, and maybe we're back down again, 1 to 2 months, back down and back inside, and then that's it. And I'm not saying that's the last opportunity to accumulate, but I'm saying it's probably one of the best prices that you could possibly get if it does come back down again. And everybody says, oh, well, I just wish, you'll never be able to accumulate below 20K again. I mean, how many times have you heard that? And it happens again, and then everybody's like, oh, I don't know, maybe it goes to 12K now. Let's wait. And then it's 25K and 30K, and they're all FOMOing back in again. Well, that's why I'm telling you, study Wyckoff. Look at the schematic. Let's pull it up again. Let's see if I still have it here. Here it is. Okay. Could say that this was a capitulation here. Secondary test here. Okay. Have we had a spring? No, we don't have to have a spring. It doesn't necessarily have to do that. It could just come back down. It could come back down just to 18.6, right? It doesn't have to come all the way back down again. It doesn't have to go lower. These are valid secondary tests if it does come back to the selling climax or below, assuming that this was the selling climax here at around 17.7. If it comes back down there or any lower than that, and we get a reaction there, then we're definitely in accumulation. So that's where I'd be looking. That's where smart money, this is when does smart money buy? They buy here, 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 and then they're done. and then they push it up. That's it. So that's FXS. Okay, I'll look at that one and then I'm gonna hop off here because you guys are like my loyal, you guys are my loyal viewers, and so I definitely want to give as much value to you as I possibly can right now. And like I said, I'm pretty serious about making as many millionaires as possible, and I'm really hoping that that you all are in that camp because not anything, not like bragging rights or anything like that. Honestly, like I'm just like genuinely, if other people can make enough money to quit their jobs and do this full time and maybe start to dedicate themselves in other ways, and that's fantastic. That's what I'm here for, basically. So the reason that the Frax token, that's what this is, right? The reason that it's hitting resistance here is because of this. This is a supply zone. We're always paying attention to these areas where the price just sort of pauses mid move. Like this is a supply zone, and I'm not sure if it's going to break through that, but if it does, then there's your next supply zone, right? Not hard to identify these. And sometimes you don't see it on the daily. Sometimes you'll see it more clearly on the 4H or the 1H. But it needs to, there is some consolidation now, so we wait for the break above, and then there's your long trigger, and then you've got this whole gap in here, this void, liquidity void, and it could push up really quick up to here. But I would wait to see. I would wait for confirmation for Ethereum. Like if Ethereum, for me personally, like if Ethereum, again, if it breaks above this diagonal and it starts to show some real strength, and it, I believe that Ethereum will easily push above 1675 if Bitcoin continues to show some strength here. It'll probably push up to minimum 1785. And if that happens, then FXS, I lost my chart, then that will definitely probably push up. It has a much higher chance, but headed into this weekend, it might just consolidate for the rest of the weekend. But for me, like if I was interested in trading this, then what I would do is I would set an alert somewhere right at the top of these wicks, and I would say, let's actually do that just in case it goes off. And then I'd watch it for a couple of hours if I was really interested in trading this. But as from an investment standpoint, again, like if I had, like I said with 𝐬𝐨𝐬𝐧, like, is this now this is kind of a unique project, so I wouldn't necessarily, technicals look pretty horrible, but it's coming back pretty strong, and it's definitely broken above here, and it actually successfully retested on the daily. It retested, so more upside definitely could be in the cards for this, for the Frax token. BitTensor, you keep asking me about that. I don't even know what it is. What is BitTensor? What is the ticker for BitTensor? If I don't have a ticker, I don't know how to. Is it bit? If I don't have the ticker for it, I don't know how to look at it. Yeah, sorry about Luna. I mean, Luna had a lot of potential, but 𝐸 Kwon was very conniving little guy. That's not going to happen again. I'm not going to promote. That's why I just turned strictly into trading, because it's like I'm recommending DeFi, but it's on the side. It's in the small caps. That's how I'm doing it now, because I don't know. Some people can really, like, I don't know how BitBoy and some of the others do it. They just take so much heat all the time. They just don't care, basically. And they just have thicker skin than me, I guess. It's Tau. Okay, so if I can't find the chart on trading view, then it's not. Okay, so it's on Huobi. It's on. Oof. I don't know about this. Yeah. No, I don't. It looks pretty dead to me. It looks pretty dead. Uh, I don't even know what's the market cap of this. It's not even saying. Is this new? How old is this? August. As of August, there's nothing on CoinGecko, no information on CoinGecko. And this is, yeah, this is I wouldn't touch this. I wouldn't touch it. It's too dangerous. Yeah, it's dead. Yeah, you're gonna earn it back for sure, and I'm gonna help you earn it back. We're all gonna earn it back and then some. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. I said 2023 is going to be a fantastic year for all of us, and I mean that. I think that it's going to take a lot of people by surprise, and it already has. It already has. This is just January, so we come down, but eventually it'll go back up. And this is actually the best time to be getting involved in cryptocurrency if you haven't been. We've seen the worst of it. We've seen the worst of this bear market. It's past us. It was 2022, and markdown is definitely. I would say it's safe. It's safe to say that markdown is finished. I mean, there's always a possibility that we could have another leg down, but it's safe to say that markdown is finished. Accumulation at worst, it's going to be really boring. So that's something, but then once that's finished, that could be sometime in the spring, early summer, then we'll get a clean break in the accumulation, and then we'll start to head into greener pastures. So if anything, this is a good sign. Just this last rally is a good sign. Stocks they're showing signs of life. So, but I want to be realistic because we still have a recessionary environment. We still have, inflation makes the wealthy a lot more money. So they're not like really in a rush to kill it, even though they say they are. So this is, it's just part of the process. So we just got to stick it out, and it's a phase, but it's, it makes you stronger and it makes you wiser, and, you're less, when you next time around, it took me a few founders. I had to go through a few founders to realize, like, if they're not completely have 100% integrity, even, if their words aren't always matching up, or if they get extra arrogant, just pull out and don't look back. Pull out of the project, don't look back. If the founder will tell you, the founder will give you the signs. And that was the case with 𝐬𝐭. That was the case with Danielle Sestegali and many others as well. And some of them I caught them and I warned about them, and some of them I didn't. But this time around, it's going to be much different. For one, I won't be covering them. I'll just be ignoring them, or I'll be warning about them, and or I'll be just trading, making money on the way up. And so, yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed this stream and that you got some value from it. If you did, please like it. Give me some love. And if you want to see my material, you can go to my website, 𝐷eFiMagic.com. Thank you all, and have a beautiful day.